we traveled through the lakes of Algonquin Park in Ontario. Here are some of the pictures from our summer vacation.
Sometimes I say it's because I have an obsession with canoeing and I need an excuse. But for many years I was, as a pastoral minister, used canoeing as a way of being involved with people in a very intense and special way in communities. And often youth, but also adults. And when I left pastoral ministry for the national office of the church, I needed to find some other way of getting involved and being involved in canoeing. So I approached Five Oaks and asked if they'd be interested in a program of a yearly canoe trip. And they were, and I was delighted to be able to offer as a volunteer to do this every year.
It's a very powerful experience of community traveling together and realizing how much we rely on each other as we travel through the woods together.
And I've been on lots of trips. These are my favorite. They are my best trips. And they are my best trips because all of the things I said about tasks tend to be done on any group. But on this group, there is an enriched community and a depth of communication that I do not experience on other trips. That is not only a physical sharing, psychological, but also spiritual.
The stories, the food, the friendships that easily develop in situations like this, and how small our world really is when you find people in the same canoe have similar experiences with people or even similar jobs paralleled, and not knowing that would ever happen at the beginning of the trip, you know, and then all of a sudden all these things come part of your own little world.
And how the 19 of us have all found a role for ourselves within a group. Some of us knew one, and others knew almost everybody here, but we've all found connecting points.
Well, I didn't have a whole lot of concerns, but some of my friends thought I was crazy because I was going on a canoe trip with people I didn't know to a place I'd never been to before. And I wasn't too concerned originally because I know Five Oaks and I know the United Church, and I've always had good experiences. So I thought it would work out okay.
Each trip has had a different focus, and the first one was a Buddhist priest, and another one was the moderator of the United Church, Bill Phipps at the time, and his wife Carolyn. This time, of course, with Stan McKay and Native issues. So that type of conversation around the campfire, and to have it focused like that is, well, for me, a spiritual journey, a learning. And so as well as the spiritual journey of getting over the portages and across the lakes, it's a journey in understanding other faiths as well as the Christian faith.
Yesterday, in the circle, Stan raised the question that was it seemed like a simple question, but it had profound meaning. And it was, what do we do when we come to a campsite? And in all of the experiences that I've had in canoeing with groups of people, it's almost always the same. We get to a campsite, and then we begin to choose our sites carefully but quickly. We're always looking for the best site that we can find, the flattest piece of ground, the one that has the best view. And whoever gets to that site first is the one who chooses it and claims it. You know, you bring out a barrel, you bring out a pack, and you put it on it, and this is my site, you know. And Stan very gently, but very directly, raised the question of how do we in fact begin as a community to care for each other? Who should have which sites? Where is the life of the community best served, and the needs of those who are in the community best served by which site they go to? And when you have a limited number of sites, it becomes very important, because those who choose last are the ones who end up in the slope, and you know, overnight begin to slip into the down the slope into the edges of the tent.
I noted the first evening when we landed, because it was contrasting for me with the way we handled the portages together. The portages were very, very much sharing, and I saw a lot of consideration on the portage, both with people who were meeting and within our own group. But that first evening when we landed at the campsite, I had this image of land grab. It suddenly hit me, this is strange. That a community that has sort of covenanted to be together for this time don't seem to think what's happening as we arrive on these special places, these sacred spots that are to be our community home for a time. And it struck me almost immediately.
But we don't think about it. We just don't think about it. And I think Stan was saying to us in a very profound way that that's the history of our relationship between the non-native community in Canada and the First Nations communities, that we just haven't thought about what we're doing.
And I can understand in a way how people coming from the city have just got to have some of this. And yet there's so many people in the city that never experience this and have no way of experiencing it. The land has been completely taken away from them.